You've been doing everything you think you're supposed to do with thin hair, and it still falls flat by noon. That's not a you problem. That's a method problem. Thin hair doesn't respond to the same techniques that work on thicker hair, and nobody actually sits down and explains why. So that's what we're doing today. For specific steps, the reason each one works, and exactly what to do differently starting with your very next wash day. I researched the worst styling mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Step 1. How you wash it is making it flatter faster. Fine hair has a structural weakness that nobody warns you about. The cuticle layer, that outer shell around each strand, is actually thinner and sits flatter on fine hair than it does on thick hair. Which means every product, every drop of water, every bit of heat hits it differently. And the way most women over 50 wash their hair is actively compressing that cuticle before they've even reached for a brush. That's the whole problem with fine hair going flat. It usually starts in the shower, not at the styling stage. Here's what most women do. They pile all their hair on top of their head to lather shampoo, scrub at the roots, and let the conditioner sit from root to tip. That piling and scrubbing motion physically tangles and compresses fine strands when they're at their most fragile, wet and open. And conditioner at the roots? It coats the follicle itself, which weighs the hair down from the very point where lift needs to originate. The fix is this. Wash your hair with your head upright, not flipped forward, and use your fingertips in a gentle circular motion at the scalp, not a scrubbing motion and definitely not a piling motion. Keep the shampoo at the roots only. Fine hair doesn't need shampoo distributed through the lengths. The rinse water carries enough product down to clean the midshaft and ends as it flows through. For conditioner, flip the approach entirely. Apply it from your ears down to the ends only. The root area stays product-free. Let the conditioner sit for 2 minutes. Use a wide tooth comb to distribute it if your hair tangles easily. Then rinse with cool water. Cool water closes the cuticle tighter, which means each strand reflects more light and feels smoother against the others. That smoothness is what creates the appearance of more volume, not more product. The snapback here is real. Women who switch to this method tell me their hair holds its shape from morning into late afternoon without any extra product. That's not a coincidence. It's what happens when you stop creating compression at the source. Flat hair later in the day almost always traces back to how it was handled wet. The specific swap is this. Stop piling and scrubbing at the roots with conditioner running all the way through. And start washing upright with conditioner only from the ears down, rinsed in cool water. Those 2 changes alone alter what your hair is capable of holding before you've touched a single styling tool. What you do in the first 30 seconds after you step out of the shower matters just as much as what you did in the water. And that's exactly what Step 2 is about. Step 2. The towel and the first 2 minutes. Most women grab a regular bath towel and give their hair a vigorous rub down the second they step out of the shower. That feels efficient. It also creates what hairstylists call mechanical damage, microfriction along the cuticle that roughens the surface of each strand. On thick hair, that roughness is barely noticeable. On fine hair, it causes strands to literally catch on each other, which creates frizz, breakage, and a texture that sits flatter once it dries. The first 2 minutes after your shower is when your hair's structure is most vulnerable and most malleable at the same time. It sets patterns in those 2 minutes. That's not a metaphor. Wet fine hair begins locking into position almost immediately as the cuticle starts to close. What you do in that window shapes what you're working with for the rest of your styling. The fix: switch to a microfiber towel or a clean cotton t-shirt. The surface of a microfiber towel is made of fibers far finer than a regular towel, which means they absorb water without creating the same friction. What you do with it is equally important. Instead of rubbing, you squeeze and press. Working from roots down to ends, gently pressing sections of hair between the fabric. Takes about 90 seconds. The hair comes out damp rather than soaking, without the frizz or compression. After you've squeezed out the moisture, flip your head upside down for 20 to 30 seconds. Shake gently at the roots with your fingertips. This physically separates strands from each other while they're still soft enough to move, and it lets air reach the root area, which is where you need volume to originate. You're not teasing or backcombing. You're just giving fine strands a moment of separation before gravity pulls them back down. Then, before you reach for any product, apply your volumizing mousse or root lifting spray right now, while the hair is still damp. Not soaking. Damp. Product applied to soaking wet hair gets diluted immediately. It rides the excess water right down to the tips and away from where you need it. Damp hair lets product grip the strand and stay where you put it. Work the product in with your fingertips at the root zone only, then distribute the remainder through the mid-lengths. Never apply volumizing product to the ends of fine hair. It adds weight where weight already drags everything down. The snapback. This step is the one that determines how much volume your blowout can create and how long it survives. I've spoken to women who spent years buying expensive styling products and getting mediocre results. And what changed everything was simply applying those same products at the right stage of damp, to the right section of the hair. The product hadn't changed. The method had. The before and after here is this. A rough terry cloth rub down on soaking wet hair with product applied at the end, versus a gentle microfiber press on damp hair with volumizing product worked into the roots first. The second approach isn't more effort, it's just better timed effort. Step 3 is where the actual lift gets built in. And it involves your blow dryer, but almost certainly not the way you've been using it. Step 3. The blow dry direction most women get backwards. Here's something most women don't know. The direction your hair dries into is the direction it holds. Fine hair has almost no elasticity reserve, meaning once it dries flat against your scalp, it stays flat. No amount of teasing or dry shampoo brings it back to where it should have been set in the first place. That's why a proper blow dry isn't about speed or heat. It's about direction and tension held at the exact right moment. The mistake is drying fine hair the same way you dry thick hair, moving the dryer back and forth loosely above the head, maybe flipping it upside down for 30 seconds at the end. That random airflow doesn't create directional lift. It creates a general dry, and the hair falls however gravity was already pulling it. The fix is sectioning. I know that sounds like more work. It takes about 8 minutes total once you've done it twice. Divide your hair into 3 horizontal sections. A bottom section from nape to just above the ear, a middle section covering the back of the crown, and a top section, the hair that will show on the surface. Clip the upper 2 sections out of the way. Start at the bottom. Take a small section with your round brush, medium barrel, not too large for fine hair. Hold the hair at a 90-degree angle away from the scalp, and direct the dryer's airflow downward, following the brush from root to tip. Dry each section completely before moving to the next one. This downward airflow closes the cuticle, which adds shine, but the key is that you're holding tension at 90 degrees. That angle is what trains the strand to sit away from the scalp rather than against it. When you reach the top section, the one that matters most visually, change the angle. Lift the hair directly up from the crown as you dry, aiming the airflow at the base of each section. At the last 30 seconds of each piece, switch your dryer to cool air while the brush is still wrapped in that lifted position. Hold it there for a full 10 seconds before releasing. Cool air sets the direction. Hot air creates the movement, cool air locks it. The snapback. This single change, using cool air to set the final direction of each section at the crown, is the difference between a blowout that falls within 20 minutes and one that holds until evening. Your hair isn't falling flat because of your hair. It's falling flat because it was never set in the direction you wanted it to stay. The specific before and after. Random loose dryer movement with no sectioning and no cool air setting, versus 3 sections, 90-degree tension, and cool air lock at the crown. The second takes 8 minutes and the first takes 7. The results are incomparable. Step 4. How to finish without killing the volume. Finishing product is the step where fine hair goes wrong most consistently, not because the products are bad, but because the way most women apply them actively destroys the lift that was just built. A single heavy-handed swipe of the wrong product at the wrong stage can undo 20 minutes of correct technique in about 45 seconds. This is the step nobody explains carefully enough, and it's the one worth paying the most attention to. The instinct for many women is to reach for a smoothing serum or a heavy finishing cream once the hair is dry. Those products are formulated for thicker hair types that need weight management. On fine hair, any oil-based or heavy cream product applied to dry hair coats the shaft and introduces weight. the exact opposite of what fine hair needs at the finish stage. The hair goes from lifted and volumized to lank and stuck to the head within the hour. The fix is 2 products, used in the right order, in the right quantities. First, a light hold flexible hairspray, held 12 inches from the hair, misted over the crown and mid-lengths while lifting sections at the root with your free hand. Don't saturate. You want a fine mist that adds memory to the style without stiffening it. Hold each lifted section for 3 seconds after you spray, then release. The spray sets that position. Second, and this is the one most women skip, a tiny amount of dry shampoo worked into the roots before any flatness appears. Not when the hair has already gone flat. Before. Applied to a freshly styled crown, dry shampoo adds grit to the root area, which means strands grip each other rather than sliding down. About a half-second spray at each section of the crown, worked in with the pads of your fingers. That grit is what makes the volume you built actually stay built. I want to tell you something a stylist said to me once that I've never forgotten. She said fine hair isn't a hair problem, it's a gravity problem. And dry shampoo used correctly is the one product that fights gravity at the source. Every other product works with your hair after it's fallen. Dry shampoo, applied correctly, before the fall happens, is the only thing working against it. That stuck with me. The snapback. Women who build this finish into their routine find that their hair holds for 6 to 8 hours without a single touch-up. Not because they have more hair than they did before. Because the finish step is now working with the volume instead of dragging it down. The before and after swap here is very specific. Smoothing serum or heavy cream on dry fine hair, replaced by a light hold flexible hairspray plus dry shampoo at the roots before any flatness appears. Those 2 swaps, used in that order, are the complete finishing method for fine hair after 50. You now have all 4 steps, and the reason each one works. That combination is what no one hands you in a product description or a quick tutorial. Next, I want to show you the 5 haircut mistakes that make fine hair look even thinner. Because the right styling method on the wrong cut only goes so far. You just walk through 4 steps that actually change what thin hair does. Not how to fake it, not how to cover it, but how to handle it correctly from the shower to the finish. That's a real skill, and now it's yours. You're walking into your next wash day knowing exactly what to do differently. And that changes everything about how your mornings go. Here's my question for you. Which of these 4 steps are you trying first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Next time, I'm getting into the 5 haircut mistakes that make fine hair look even thinner than it actually is. You do not want to miss that one. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.